So tracking calories allows you to eat any foods in any country, eating in restaurants, having alcohol, eating desserts, all of the above, as long as you hit your calorie target. And my clients, they lose 30 pounds doing this, and they do it eating the foods they love.
Welcome to the Legendary Life Podcast, where it's all about taking control of your health, losing fat, transforming your body, and living the life you deserve with celebrity fitness trainer and longevity enthusiast, Ted Rice. Today, I'm going to share with you the 7 habits my entrepreneur clients use to lose up to 30 pounds in 4 months, and they do that without strict diets or long workouts. What is up, my friend? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ted Rice, health expert and coach to entrepreneurs, executives, and other high-performing professionals. And to set the stage about what we're going to talk about today, I want to tell you this statistic that you probably know. About 80% of people end up putting on the weight that they lose within 5 years. So for example, let's say, and this is why I don't pay a lot of attention to people's weight loss successes. People say, "Oh, I lost 20 pounds." Oh, I'm like, okay, cool. How long did you do that? Like, how long ago did you do that? Oh, I did that. Well, I've done it in 3 months. Okay, cool. Have you ever lost 20 pounds before? Have you ever lost weight before? Oh, yeah, I have. Okay. And what happened? Well, I put it back on. And then I'm wondering, okay, well, what makes this any different? Especially when you hear if they've done some type of strict workout strict diet or really intense workout. And what I want to tell you is this, my personal belief, there's 2 levels to this. And I'll share both of them. My personal belief from my experience in helping people for over 23 years with this, and maybe even more importantly, my own transformation, not just physically, but emotionally, psychologically, even spiritually, is this. Number one is if people can't sustain an achievement of some sort, it's because they lack habits and routines. They have unsustainable habits and unsustainable routines. And you see this everywhere. An easy example would be people, I know other coaches who they'll make a lot of money and then they'll have no money the next month. They don't have a routine or systems in place, habits that lead to consistent clients in their coaching business. And certainly for fat loss, it's the same thing. You need to have some type of repeatable system. And what I mean by that is you got to be able to do it. If you can't do it for 20 years, right, you're not going to be able to keep it up. And I'll wrap this episode up with this idea or what I'm trying to say is, I'll just say it like this. There's something I use called the sustainability test with my clients. I ask them, is this something you feel like you can keep up? Now, I always encourage them to do more because that second level of transformation happens at an identity level. And just some preliminary stuff here. I promise I'll get to the actionable habits in a second, but I'm sharing this not because I enjoy the sound of myself speaking. I'm doing it because I really believe these are the things that people miss. So to use an example here, if you've been listening to this podcast since I started it 7 years ago, you probably hopefully have heard a big change in the way I show up on each episode. In other words, I'm probably a better speaker now. I probably deliver better information now. And that's because when I first started doing this podcast, I wasn't a podcaster. I was someone who is new to podcasting. I wasn't a public speaker. My heart would start pounding. Even just if you've been with me for all these years, when I first started doing some of those interviews, I got super nervous. I never get nervous for interviews anymore. I would hope to get a little nervous. I'm missing being nervous because I'm like, hey, what's up? All right, another interview. Because sometimes, all right, I'm going off on a tangent. But the point is this, we shift our identity, who we believe we are, through repetition. And it takes a while for that to happen, maybe even years. And then all of a sudden, it's just what you do. Like me getting on this podcast, when I first started doing these solo episodes, I didn't want to do them. I was like, nobody wants to hear me talk by myself. I'm not even good at it. But I did it and I got better at it. And then eventually I had clients telling me and listeners telling me that they don't even listen to the interviews anymore because they've heard the people on other shows. They only come to listen to my episode on Fridays. Whoa, blew me away when people told me that. But again, I'm sharing this story to share with you the lesson that it's about the identity shift. Whatever you think about me now, and if you're new to this show, go listen to one of my earlier episodes. I sucked. And we all suck. We're not good when we start things. And that brings me to the first habit that I teach my clients. It's always think about this. Always think about this as an experiment and getting feedback. There is no failure. There is no, what am I trying to say here? You have to look at things with a beginner mindset. What is that? Everything is just feedback. And why is this important? Why do I teach this habit of beginnership or looking at things as a beginner to my clients who've all lost weight before, who've all been in the gym before? Because as they start to learn these new habits, there's times where you fall off track and then they take it personal, like there's something wrong with them, when in reality, everybody falls off track. The difference between the people who succeed and the people who fail is the people who succeed keep going. The people who fail quit. The only way to mess this up, fat loss up, is to quit. So adopt a beginner mindset. You're going to do things that you don't like, that you're not good at the beginning. So always look at it from that mindset. And this takes the pressure off, because I wanted to say something else here, because I feel, again, I love doing these podcasts because when I write, I'm really cranking content out on Twitter right now, and it's being well received, but it lacks the context, or at least I'm not as good of a writer as I need to be to convey, to properly share the context. And the context is this. It's like you're just going to go through these ups and downs and you'll have to deal with them. And the mindset, even though when I say it, if I put up like, oh, you need the right mindset, people are like, yeah, whatever, man. Just tell me what exercises to do. Tell me the foods to eat. Tell me how much, that's what I want to hear from you. I don't want to hear about this mindset garbage. And I'll be honest with you. I used to be the same way when people were like teaching me about sales and like, hey, we're going to talk about the sales mindset. I'm like, I don't care about the sales mindset. Just tell me what to do. That's what was my attitude. But what I came to realize is that, number one, the mindset was what I was missing when it came to growing my business. And certainly it was what my clients were missing. In fact, I had a client come to me all pissed off, not at me, but with the progress, because he didn't lose a pound in the previous week. And it was like, well, for me, it's like, well, if you didn't lose a pound, either you're not doing the right things, or there might be some shifting in, like, for example, if you gain a pound of muscle and lose a pound of fat, there's no change on the scale. I mean, that's how I look at it. And so mindset is the thing that I have to coach my clients on the most. You might think, oh, the coaching program with Ted, it's all about macros and protein and how many grams of protein and eat this protein shake and, do this exercise. It's not. It's mostly about mindset. That's what the coaching calls are about. And I'm lucky if I get to talk about exercise and nutrition. That's a great coaching call. That means we're really dialed in. But most of them are about mindset. So adopt that beginner's mindset. Always look at it. In other words, if something happens, for example, you step on the scale and the weight didn't go down, don't go, oh my God, this doesn't work. This is a lost cause. I'll never get this handled. Say, that's interesting. This is just feedback. So why is this happening? Why is the scale not moving? Am I doing all the right things? Let me examine that. Even though I think I'm doing the right things, let me look closer at what I'm actually doing so that I can get better results next time. Or do I need to get a body fat test? Because I feel my pants are falling off. In fact, that same client told me, and it's the first thing I asked the client, like, okay, so the scale didn't move. Have you noticed anything different? For example, are your clothes fitting the same way? Or are they fitting looser? Or are they fitting tighter? And he said, oh yeah, my pants almost fell off the other day. That's funny, right? But I was like, well, then you're getting results, aren't you? Especially, and this is something to pay attention to, especially if you're lifting weights, okay? Especially if you're lifting weights. This is one of the common things that happens is that people are doing everything right, and they are doing everything right. And guess what? It's working. And you're building muscle. Or maybe you're retaining a little bit of water because you inflamed your muscles through all the hard work that you're doing in the gym. That's normal. But if your pants are falling off, but the scale's not moving, you got to be able to see that. And most people can't see that. And then they sabotage themselves. All right. So that's what I teach. That's the habit that I teach my clients to ask those questions instead of react emotionally. All right, let's move on. Number 2, track calories. Oh, and I want to tell you, I had someone argue about this just the other day, yesterday, or the day before. Oh, tracking calories, it's a waste of time. You know what he did instead? I was like, okay, cool. So what have you done that gave you results then? And you know what his answer was? He has 1 meal a day. Like, that's the big solution, only having 1 meal a day. Imagine having a family, and he's actually a dating coach. I don't know him or anything. He's just a quote unquote friend on Facebook. But imagine like having a family. I don't have a family yet, but I could imagine some of my clients and me and the look on their face if I said, eat 1 meal a day. And so why I'm telling you this is that tracking calories is the way out of strict dieting. Now, he said it didn't work for him. You got to do it right, folks. And I have my episode 445, The Best Diet for Fat Loss. That's the episode you want to listen to where I tell you how to do it right. So track calories. And I'll tell you, I didn't want to track calories. I started tracking calories when I worked with my coach, Eric, in 2019. And I've told this story before and I'll tell it again. For 3 days, I was like, I don't want to do this because I don't know, you probably, I don't know what you think about me, but I act like a child sometimes, right? I don't want to do this. In other words, I don't want to do the stuff that I know I need to do, especially when it's new. You know what I mean? Now I'm very different. I'm less of a child now these days, thankfully, but I didn't want to do it then. And after kicking and screaming for about 3 days, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't that bad. In fact, it's easy and I'm eating the foods that I want. And in Thailand, where I was, it was very important because I haven't been back to Southeast Asia in years. And the food is amazing. Seriously, if you're a foodie, you got to go out to Southeast Asia, especially the food in Thailand. Cambodia, not so much with the food, although I had some decent food there. But the food in Bali, the food in Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, you got to get out there. And while you're doing it, track your calories. And it just was so freeing. It's freeing. It frees you. Now, it feels like a constraint. But the big issue with calories is this. People look to like 1 meal a day. OMAD is what it's called. 1 meal a day. Just eat 1 meal a day. Or intermittent fasting. Just skip breakfast. Or low carb diets. Just anything that looks like a carb, just don't eat it. But the problem is this, and you really start to see this when you travel. Like you're going to go to Paris and not have any carbs. You're not going to have any French bread. Now, if you're the type of person who stays home, doesn't travel, cool. Makes me shed a tear for your life. But hey, that's you, not me. My clients, they all love to travel. And that's who I like to help. In fact, I'd love to combine travel. I'm starting to combine travel with what I do with coaching, in fact. And when you do that, you start to see, wow, these strict approaches break down quite quickly. If you're outside of America, really hard to do. So tracking calories allows you to eat any foods in any country,
eating in restaurants, having alcohol, eating desserts, all of the above, as long as you hit your calorie target. And my clients, they lose 30 pounds doing this, and they do it eating the foods they love. I get clients, again, had a client, Dan, shout out to you if you're listening, went on vacation, came back half a pound heavier, and he was drinking alcohol and eating out. Although he said he skipped lunch because he wanted to eat his breakfast, but he skipped lunch and ate a big dinner. And it worked for him. I didn't even tell him, hey, you have to skip a meal. He just did it. And why? Because it worked. And that's what tracking calories does for you. It allows you to choose what works for you. And the same thing happens with me. Sometimes I only do one meal per day. I'm in Brazil right now. Have you ever been to a rodizio, Brazilian steakhouse? They keep bringing the meat until you flip the coin over from green to red. Or gone to a brunch. Yeah, I might only eat one meal that day. I might just eat 2,000 calories in that sitting, and that'll be it for the rest of the day. Maybe a protein shake later on. But since I track calories, I get to choose that. Now, the third habit is this, the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time, the idea is this, the 80% of the time you eat whole foods, and most of our meals, probably around 80 or 70, 75, 80%, maybe even higher, 85, 90%. Most of our meals, we just got to eat. Like today, lunch, because I needed to not be hungry when I recorded this episode. I had breakfast today, actually just a very light breakfast because I ate a lot of food last night. And I'm going out to eat tonight at a restaurant. Again, since I'm tracking calories, I know how to save my calories, budget them. And what I do is this, 80% of the time I eat whole foods, lean, satiating foods, right? And then 20% of the time I eat what I want. And I had the most amazing pizza. And then I had this, I don't even know, it was a dessert with 2 scoops of ice cream. Oh man, I'm eating some great desserts here in Brazil. And I'm losing fat. I'm getting leaner. Now it's a little slower, I'll be honest, because of all the restaurant. I'm single, I'm going out on dates, I'm going to restaurants. That's what the pizza was the other night. And delicious pizza too. And because I have this 80-20 rule, I'm able to get things to the point where most of my choices are like satiating foods, right? Healthy, clean, whatever you want to call it. But 20% of the time I'm relaxed. And you know what? It makes my life better when I'm able to do that. It's easier for me to stay on track. And certainly all my clients tell me that too. All my clients tell me this is the easiest thing I've ever done. And what do they all have in common? They all have in common strict dieting, past of strict dieting, where they cut out foods completely. I had a client, Lynn, shout out to you if you're listening. She wasn't eating carbs at all. And she was eating such a strict diet, crazy. But now she's more balanced with her diet, big time changes. Love hearing that. So the 80-20 rule. Number 4, hit 4 weekly workouts. Oh, but Ted, I thought you said without long workouts. Oh, I said 4 weekly workouts. I didn't say how long they were. And I've talked about this previously. The workouts don't have to be long. You just got to get them in. And I found this. If 4 20-minute workouts works better than 2 or 3 hour-long workouts. Okay. There's some reasons why this is. I don't want to get into it here because I've talked about it on other episodes. But basically it's this, more frequent workouts work better. And so I'll do a upper lower split. So 2 workouts repeated twice a week, upper body, lower body. You could also do total body with a lower rep range, say 8 to 10 reps, then total body with a higher rep range, say 15 to 20 reps. But 4 weekly workouts, and keep them to 20 minutes to an hour. 20 minutes, probably, 6 exercises, 1 set each. That's fine. Or an hour, 3 sets of 12 exercises, whatever it is. But 4 weekly workouts. And not all my clients do 4 weekly workouts, but that's what we teach them to do. Because I feel like that's the sweet spot. So that's optimal. And give it a try. If you're only doing 2 or maybe 3, split it up into lower body and upper body and give this a try. The fifth habit is take photos every 2 weeks. This is super important because
when we see our body and see the changes happening, it holds us accountable. There's even research that shows when you take a photo of yourself, it gives you perspective. And I'll tell you what, I don't want to say make our clients take photos, but we're like, hey, you didn't take your photo. You got to do your photo, got to do your photo. And you know what? Every single one of them, even the ones who didn't want to take photos, feel good about it because now they can see, oh, my belly in that first photo has completely disappeared or it shrunk. You see the changes and it's motivating because the reality is this. If I look at myself in the mirror today, I look exactly the same as I did yesterday. And yesterday I looked exactly the same as I did the day before. Are you with me? So I see myself every day and I kind of look the same. Very hard to notice the subtle changes. But if I see a photo of myself 2 weeks ago and I see a difference, especially if I'm in a hardcore fat loss phase like all my clients are, so motivating for them. And again, there's even research that talks about this. Super important. The sixth habit is weigh in weekly. Weigh in weekly. We weigh in weekly because now some of my clients weigh in more, but we weigh in weekly because we're looking for the trend. Some people, if they step on the scale and it's down, they're happy. The next day it's up, they're unhappy. So weigh in weekly if you have this problem, but definitely weigh in. I will give an alternative here, which is actually, you know what, I've got a bonus. Let's say I have a bonus for you, a bonus habit for you, which is a body fat scan monthly. Okay. Body fat scan monthly. Because why don't we do a body fat scan weekly? That would be better, right? Yeah, it would be nice to do one every day. But the thing is, costs $50, $100, $150 to do it. And so weighing in is something you can do easily. There's no appointments that need to be made. There's no extra cost to it in terms of your time, very little in terms of your time. So we like to weigh in weekly, but body fat tests monthly. Body fat tests monthly. And I'll tell you a story why this is important. I've had several clients who they're doing quote unquote everything right. And guess what? These are high performing people. They are doing everything right, but the weight isn't moving or the weight goes up. Now, for me, that's not a problem, but for them, it's a problem because they're new to this. They're like, that's not what I'm supposed to experience if I'm doing everything right. I mean, just imagine, put yourself in that situation. You're working really hard, but you're actually gaining weight or not losing weight. And again, this is putting too much emphasis on the scale. And those clients, I'm like, listen, I understand where you are, why you feel the way that you feel. But what I want you to do is this. I tell them to get a body fat test right away. And then when they do it, they're always so surprised. Oh my gosh, I've lost 5% body fat. I was at 24% body fat. Now I'm at 19% body fat. Actually, I had a client that happened to recently. I had another client who his muscle mass has gone up every single month and his body fat percentage has gone down every single month. But the scale doesn't tell you that. So it's something I wasn't pushing so hard before because of COVID, right? Everything was shut down. But now we're really pushing it hard, especially if there's I encourage my clients to get a body fat test once a month. It's like, let's do it once a month because we can catch a trend and we can double down on a trend. If we see that you're losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time, whoa. I mean, it gives so much, it demystifies the process. It's kind of like not understanding your bank, like, why do I have this money in the bank? It looks low, or maybe it looks high, or whatever. And then looking at all the inputs and all the outputs, and then you're like, oh, that makes sense. Yes, I did write that check. I did write that check, made that. Who writes checks anymore? I don't know, some people. But I did make that payment. I bought that thing. Oh, I did get that payment, that direct deposit, whatever it is. So now you can quantify the changes. And let me give you the eighth tip, the bonus habit, rather. It's not a tip, it's a habit, is never miss twice. This is something I teach my clients, never miss twice. What does that mean? If you miss a day of tracking your calories, don't miss another day. If you miss track, and you can use it in a lot of different ways. Oh, but I missed tracking a meal. Okay, don't miss tracking 2 meals, right? And I want to explain to you the genius of this never miss twice in a second. If you skip a workout, don't skip a second workout. Force yourself to do it. Force yourself to do something. And now you get it, right? Never have 2 bad nights of sleep in a row, never have 2 bad meals, right? So now you get it. But the thing is this, here's the genius of this. Whenever you build, let's say a lot of people think, well, I don't have the habit of exercising. I start exercising and then I stop. And it's like, it's not that you don't have the habit of exercising, it's that you have the habit of quitting. And when we talk about habits, and I should have maybe even talked about this in the beginning, habits are a program that you run in your brain to make your life easier. For example, I took a shower today, I brushed my teeth, I put on deodorant, I got dressed. I it didn't take a lot of effort. It's just something I do every day. Floss. In fact, I'm out of dental floss and I'm like feeling anxiety because of it. Can you relate? So what I'm talking about is we develop everything we do as a habit, including skipping workouts. So if you have the habit of quitting workouts when life gets busy, that's a habit. If you have the habit of staying up late every night because you're watching Netflix, that's a habit. It starts once and then you do it again and then you do it again and then you do it again. And all of a sudden you have a habit. Same thing. I can't work out today. It's too busy. Okay, I skip my habit. But no, it's not that you just skipped a habit. You're forming a new habit, which is called skipping workouts. I've got the habit of skipping workouts. So never miss twice helps to avoid building those habits that work against you. Because I'll tell you something, if you've been doing a habit for a very long time, that's much harder to deal with than if you build the habit the right way in the beginning. Makes sense, right? So if you build the habit the right way in the beginning, or build the habit while your life is less stressful. So I want to say one more thing about this. This bonus habit here is that think about a crisis. What does a crisis do? Let's say, I don't want to use anything too terrible here, but let's say someone in your family gets sick. We have a story that we're super busy. I've even used this story, right? I had a client super busy with work. His father-in-law passed away. Do you think he was still busy with growing his business then? No, probably doesn't make for a good, you don't tell your wife, oh, sorry, honey, sorry about your dad's death and everything. Can't make his funeral. I got a really important meeting, right? So what happened, where I'm going with this is the point I'm making is this. We say we're busy, but when a crisis happens, we get super focused on dealing with that crisis. And what I'm trying to say is the more crisis, you just drop everything. Let's say you have the habit of going to work every day. You drop going to work. You cancel all your meetings. You support your wife and go to the funeral. That's what he did. And that's what most of us will do. I'm kind of laughing like who wouldn't do that, right? But there's got to be someone, right? Anyway, most of us will do that. I know I would. I would drop everything. I would tell my clients, hey, listen, someone else's will add weeks into your program to cover this, but I have to go deal with this right now. And the point I'm making is this: stress focuses us on that crisis. And the more stress you have, the less you can focus on those new habits that you're creating. Stress makes you fall back into bad habits. Yes or no? Can you relate to that? Of course you can. We all can. How many people were doing so well until COVID hit and we all got locked in our homes, couldn't go out, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is understand that you're building habits here, understand the never miss twice rule and why it's important, and understand how stress breaks good habits and encourages bad ones. Because stress is a threat to your survival. The higher the stress, the more intense the stress, the more it's threatening your survival, even though it's really not. Like, let's say you have a big, let's say you got a dumpster fire at work that you need to put out. Even if the business went under and you had to declare bankruptcy, it would suck, but you're not going to die. But it feels like we're going to die. And what does that mean? Because that's how our stress system is programmed. And so what happens We start shoving our faces full of food because it makes us feel better. We start drinking alcohol because it helps us deal with stress. And we don't think about the long-term consequences because that's what stress does. It helps you deal with the immediate. And the problem is we're really not going to die from whatever dumpster fire you're putting out at work. You will be alive in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, and you'll be suffering from all the consequences from those bad habits. So just 2 bonuses there. The never miss twice rule, and also understanding how stress affects your ability to build new habits. And it will always push you back to the old bad habits. All right, well, that is it for me today. And I would ask you, what is the one big takeaway from this? What is the golden nugget that you can use right away in your life? What are you going to do differently? Are you going to look at something differently? Are you going to take action differently? What is it that you're going to do differently as a result of having listened to this podcast? That's what I want to leave you with. And if you want to keep the conversation going, reach out to me on Twitter at Ted_Rice. That's at TED_RYCE. Reach out to me. Let me know. Let's keep the conversation going. Have a great one and talk soon. And on Monday, I will continue the discussion we started last Monday about metabolism and how it affects our weight. This time, I'm going to dive deeper into this topic, as well as discussing some key factors that influence food behavior. So we're talking about our culture, our family influences. This stuff, it's something that it's just not talked about enough. So if you want to learn some of the secrets that I've learned from working with clients and creating the incredible body transformations you've seen over the past years, then you're going to want to tune in on Monday. Have an amazing weekend. Love you lots, and I'll speak to you then.
Do you need help losing fat while still enjoying your life? I mean, who doesn't know how to lose fat when they're at home, never going out to a restaurant, eating chicken and broccoli? Everyone can do that. But if you enjoy your social life, spending time with friends, going out to dinner, trying new restaurants, well, that's what we help our clients do. We help successful entrepreneurs, executives, and other high-performing professionals to burn fat, grow muscle, boost their energy, reduce their stress, all while enjoying their social life, going on vacation, and growing their business. If you're ready to have the body you deserve, to look and feel younger, and to say goodbye to time-consuming workouts and strict diets, we can help you. The best place to go is to watch my free masterclass. Go to legendarylifeprogram.com/free. There's one masterclass for men, there's another for women. Again, go to legendarylifeprogram.com/free to watch my free body breakthrough masterclass.